My name is Nadir Carlson. I am the Membership and Communications Coordinator for NASW Wisconsin. Today, because we have an extra jam-packed program for you, we're going to do things a little differently. For those who are getting exhibitor prizes and or new member or renewing member prizes, we ask that you meet us at the membership table to claim your prize and take a picture. And I know some of you new member folks already have your prize, but we would love to get a picture. So I am going to start by presenting our exhibitor prizes for those who are in person. Presented by the Wisconsin Department of Health Services. It's Real Talks Wisconsin Packages, a team of 10 shirts and 10 tech kits, 10 notebooks, 10 sticky notepads, and 10 fidget toys. I was going to say spinners. The first person is Donna Alteg. And you'll meet us at the membership table for your prize. The next prize is from UW-Milwaukee, where I got my master's. UW Social Work fleece jacket inside, along with a few little notebooks and some pens. Those are some good notebooks. Mia Mischalt Blanchard. Our next prize is from Mount Mary. It's a gift basket. It's to Audrey Butchman. And then our Wisconsin, brought to us by the Wisconsin Office of Mental Health, is a stainless steel mug, which I keep wanting to take. Emily Schetz. See, I don't take the prizes. Emily Schetz. And then brought to us by the Triangle Cancer is a mug and a $25 Starbucks gift card. Kaylee McCorley, BIPOC student leader. Planned Parenthood gifted us a $50 gift card and a swag bag, and that goes to Kara Hall. UW-Milwaukee brought us a portfolio and a mug. And it looks, looks like we didn't pull a name, or I don't see where the name is for that, so, the Rogers Behavioral Health Yeti cup goes to Jamal Burton. The Lifetime Pilots polo shirt and cap go to Elaine Mumman. Concordia University's t-shirt and portfolio, pen and water bottle, tote flashlight and highlighter notepad and chip clip, who doesn't need those, goes to William Berman. And our $25 Amazon gift, we're now switching to exhibitor prizes for those who attended virtually. Our $25 gift card, $25 Amazon gift card goes to Jodel Gunnar. And then another one goes to Kaylee Strassfy. And then a $25 Chipotle gift card goes to Krista Hopman. That was brought to us by Journey Mental Health. And then I'm sorry, I forgot who that was, but Relief Mental Health, I think, is who that was brought to us by. So sorry. And then our membership, some of our new members or renewing members include, and what they won, 3-day conference was William Berman, an Ethics and Boundaries workshop. Nobody won that one. And then a winter webinar, Jalen Lundell. Another winter webinar, Susan Mungus. And then a throw blanket, Anka Erickson, one of our many session monitors. Thank you so much. A self-care basket, Stephanie Opaski. A fall-scented candle, Kelly Stewart. An employee appreciation gift set, Tiffany Holberg. And then a one-day conference attendee, Casey Berman. And I promise I was there when they spun the wheel. It was spun. So For those of you who won a prize, you will meet us at the membership table for your picture. I now have the honor of turning things over to our wonderful president, Kim Howard.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 2024 NASW Wisconsin Chapter Annual Meeting and Award Ceremony. It is, no, the podium is going to fall off. Oh, Jesus. It is an honor to be here today as your board president, and I want to take this time to recognize the incredible work of our leaders, our volunteers, and staff who have helped advance our profession and serve our communities. I would like to start by thanking our board members for their leadership and dedication. I'll ask each board member who is present today to please stand as your name is called. Cleopatra Castaneda. I don't know how to go. Keandra Higgins. Paul Perales. Neil O'Connor, and Nick Schmier. For those board members who couldn't be with us today, your contributions have been just as vital, and we appreciate your dedication. Next, I'd like to recognize our incredible committee and task force chairs. If you are here, please stand as I call your name. Adam Bender, which is our Disability Task Force Chair and the founder of that committee. Jennifer Barabak, the Professional Standards and Regulations Committee Chair. Our DEI, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Chairs, Patricia Parker, which is our outgoing chair. And Dawn Shelton Williams, which is also our outgoing chair, and also founders of that committee. Antoinette Davis, Keandra Higgins, which is our incoming DEI chairs. Wendy Volts Daniels, which is the Wisconsin Social Workers PAC chair. To those who could not attend, we want to express our deep appreciation for all the work you continue to do. I now want to take a moment to acknowledge our past presidents. These individuals have left a lasting legacy and have set the stage for future success in this organization. Daphne Berman, Dawn Shelton Williams, Christy Wood, Mark Schmidt. Your leadership and dedication has been pivotal in helping NASW Wisconsin become the strong and impactful organization it is today, so I thank you. It is now my privilege to honor two remarkable members who have dedicated 50 years to NASW. So these individuals exemplify what it means to be a lifelong advocate for the profession. Floyd April and Joanne Koff. We are incredibly grateful for your decades of service, and your dedication inspires us all. We are honored to have an esteemed elected official among us. I do not see him. Willie Johnson Jr. Oh, there he is. who has been a dedicated public servant and a strong advocate for social justice. Thank you for your ongoing service to our community and for your commitments to the values that we as social workers hold dearly. Thank you. And before I end this part of the service, I want to to thank 3 individuals who have worked tirelessly behind the scenes. Nadir, Christina, who likes to stay in the background. We love you, Christina. And Mark. And a special shout out to Mark, who celebrates 32 years of service with NASW this week. And Mark, your leadership has made an extraordinary impact on this organization, and we are all grateful. Thank you. And thank you all for being here today and for your ongoing commitment to NASW Wisconsin. And do you need the clicker?
Well, thank you, Kim. It's such a pleasure to work with you and to have you as my president. I am so blessed to have Kim as president and a wonderful board of directors, and also the presidents that you heard. They've been just wonderful people to work with. So I feel so blessed to have them, as well as my 2 extraordinary staff, Christina Jasmine and Nadir Carlson. I could not ask for anybody any better. And that's the reason why we are so successful, is because of the work that they have done. We also have 3 wonderful interns here. I think 2 of them are here: Heather Maggio, Tyler Carnes, and Francisca Ipsaro. So I really, they've done wonderful, wonderful work as well. So it's a tremendous pleasure for me to come here every year and see so many of you, some of whom I've known since I started that 32 years ago. I can't believe it. And I so appreciate the work that you do, and to see you here in person and know that you continue to do tremendous service to our state and to our citizens. What I'm going to be doing is giving you kind of a summary of the annual report that's in your packet. Those of you that were in my session just shortly before now, there'll be some repetition with some new things. So let me start. Some things take a while to accomplish, and I always say that you have to keep at it. You never know how long it's going to take. And I'm going to start with conversion therapy. We've been trying to ban that in our profession for almost 7 years. And I want to say, if Eric Alvin is still here, I want to give him a shout out, because he's the one. There he is. Eric is the one that at a board meeting, he said, you know, we're never going to get through the legislature, but let's try going through the regulatory route. So I said, great idea, Eric, I'll do it. And so in January of 2018, I first appeared before the examining board of social workers, marriage and family therapists, professional counselors, and asked them to ban conversion therapy in our professions. They were very supportive, and then they decided to look at the entire conduct code. So within 2 years, they had that out. But it's been a difficult path because although it's easier to get rules through, it's not necessarily easy when you have fierce ideological opposition, which is what we have on this, and when you have willing partners in the legislature to this fierce ideological opposition, which is what we've had. And the leader of the Joint Committee Review of Administrative Rules has continued to suspend our rule, and his chief of staff told the fellow lobbyists that he would never, ever, ever allow our rule to come into effect. So we contacted a law firm, the leading civil rights law firm in Madison, Pines Bach, and they were able to convince Governor Evers to include our issue in a lawsuit against the state legislature on separation of powers. And most recently, we paid for them to do an amicus brief to ask the Supreme Court to take this up immediately, and just 2 weeks ago they agreed to do so, which is pretty remarkable. And it's our issue. The Wisconsin Supreme Court is going to be looking at our issue. Briefs are due in a month, and I hope to have a happy news for people, within 6 months or 9 months, whatever length of time it takes them to think. And this is, and this will be, not only is this significant in terms of fighting this horrific practice in our state and as an example to the rest of the country, but it's also an example to say, hey, legislature, you cannot tell us social workers what is unprofessional conduct. It's our job to do that, right? Now, we are, as we move ahead with the next legislative session, we are looking at trying to pass several bills. The Social Work Compact bill got through the state Senate. It was blocked by an extremely, yay. But now you can do your boos, but it failed in the state assembly through a very extremely conservative, kind of reactionary legislator who took offense that I testified against the bill banning gender-affirming care, and I'm not kidding. He said that to me when I met with him, and he also hates Governor Evers, and he hates the department, and so he blocked the bill. But we have now hired a lobbying firm that has close ties with the speaker, and we believe it will not go back to his committee. And so we are optimistic that will be the 23rd state. 22 states have passed it. The commission has started reviewing rules, and I expect that the compact will be in effect probably the end of 2025, early 2026, which will be a remarkable accomplishment for the social work profession nationwide. Now, in addition, we are also working on an alternative to licensure exam bill. There have been many people that have raised concerns, diverse populations, heard from the Hmong community, African American community, the deaf and hard of hearing community, and the research has shown that there's disparities in the pass rate for people for whom English is not their first language, and this is nationwide, for diverse groups, for people, and for people who are older, have a harder time with lived experience passing it. And so we're coming up with a compromise. We're not going to be eliminating in our state, but we are going to set up with standards a system whereby people who do not pass it once, you still have to try to pay it, can get a provisional credential that you can work under supervision, and the supervision standards would have to be approved by the social work section. And then you have regular 6-month reviews. At the end of that 2,000 hours, you can get a regular credential. And the people that I've talked to who have not been able to pass it, one was a deaf and hard of hearing member who tried 4 times. She worked 4 years at Rogers. They had to let her go. She was a graduate from UWM. And she loved her work, but they couldn't keep her because she couldn't pass the exam. People like her and some of the other people I've talked to, they would now be practicing. And so that's a second priority that we're working with on this. Third, we're looking at beginning some pilot projects around loan forgiveness for our profession. This is a critical issue that came out. We did a major workforce study within the profession. We surveyed students, we did focus groups, we surveyed our customers, our members, human service directors, and both loan forgiveness and paid student internships, which are both going to be at Advocacy Day on April 9th, they came up. So we're working with a bill with the mayors and family therapists and the professional counselors on a pilot program for 10 people who would get that each year, and hopefully to expand that. Okay. Now, we all know that there is a shortage of mental health professionals in the state, particularly in underserved regions. And the issue of mental health has, the challenges have skyrocketed dramatically after COVID, and school systems have had a really challenging time. And that's why we've worked, supporting efforts that the governor has done to try to bring therapists to every school in the state, which will continue to do that. In addition, the governor set up a statewide task force on healthcare shortages led by the lieutenant governor. And when I saw the list of people on the committee, I saw that there was hardly any mental health professionals. And of course, mental health is part of health. So I set up a meeting with the lieutenant governor, and I met with her and her chief of staff, and I talked to them and urged them to support loan forgiveness, paid student placements. We talked about Medicaid reimbursement, the compact, alternative licensure exam, and some of these were reflected in their report. So, one of the things about trying to get change is you have to work in a lot of different formats. I'm part of something called the Mental Health Action Partnership, which is led by Ceta Deal. I don't know if she's still here, but she's a remarkable leader working part-time for Mental Health America. And so I've also been promoting that through their both loan forgiveness and these other bills. Now, social justice issues that we work on require coalition work. So we at NASW are very involved in coalition work. Gun violence prevention is something that we've worked on for years, whether it be red flag legislation, background checks, waiting periods for the purchase of handguns, all these things we've worked on. We've led efforts on red flag, and so we continue to work with the gun violence prevention. This will advance once we have a new legislature, by the way, but we continue to advocate for that. Same thing with Raise the Age Coalition, to raise the age of mandatory referral adult court from 17 to 18. Extremely important, one of only 3 or 4 states that haven't done that. We're involved deeply in that coalition. I'm on the steering committee. The LGBTQ coalition, we've been extremely involved with that. I've testified at all sorts of hearings on very harmful bills that have been put forth by Republicans on gender-affirming care, athlete bill, there have been bathroom bills, there's bills that would criminalize school social workers who don't want to out students who want to go by different pronouns. So we've been involved with that. Now, for real social change and social justice, it is so critical that you have the right people in office. And that's become so evident for me. This year, for the first time in 14 years, we actually have fair maps because of the Supreme Court decision. And all of you that worked on the Janet Protasewicz campaign can be proud of your work, because that's what flipped that. It also is protecting reproductive rights. By the way, there's another Supreme Court election really critical in the spring because another progressive is retiring. So, for this election, which people have a lot of anxiety about, and people in my last presentation, they asked me who was going to win Wisconsin, as if I know. But one can hope. But this is a really critical election nationwide and in Wisconsin. Obviously, we're one of the 3 most important states, and the national offices recognize that. And they put out an RFP for 5 political organizer grants, and we got one of them. And our PAC, under Wendy's leadership, we also used our PAC monies to hire a second organizer. So we have 2 political organizers who are working to basically, the number one thing they're doing is we are talking to social work programs all over the state. We've contacted all 14. We've spoken to, or will be speaking to most of them, first about student voting requirements, because our ID requirements are very strict here, and they made it purposely difficult for students to vote. We want to make sure that every social work student in the state knows how to vote, where to vote, what kind of ID they need, how to get the IDs they need. So we're doing those presentations. And then we also we want every social work student to know, and we're also sending this out to our membership, any social media, how critical this election is for all the kind of issues that they care about and their members do. So we are doing, over the summer, I had our interns, which have been also developed, further developed, do PowerPoints and fact sheets comparing Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, comparing Tammy Baldwin and Eric Houghty. We've got PowerPoints, fact sheets on the two main congressional seats out west between Derek Van Orden and Rebecca Cook and Peter Barca and Brian Stile. But our national office has also endorsed Kirsten Lyrie, if I got the name right in that area. And we've also have the PowerPoint that I presented today and comparing the Democrats and Republicans in the legislature on the issues that impact that. Our organizers and our interns will be making phone calls, calling all of our members, all of our student members and transition members. And so far, I just want to mention, we have had speaking engagements, 5 classes at Green Bay, 5 at Oshkosh, Whitewater, Milwaukee, several, Stevens Point, Eau Claire, Superior, Marion University, and we're going to be tabling at Madison, Whitewater, Green Bay, and Milwaukee. So we are doing more than we ever have before to make a difference in this election on behalf of our profession. What's my timeline here? I want to make sure I'm not going over. Okay, I've got a little more time. So now I want to talk about some of the wonderful membership work that we're doing under Nadir's leadership. Oh, how convenient. There he is. We did do a workforce survey of all of our members so that we really can get an idea of where our members are at. And the board just went through a strategic planning process, and we've used a lot of our goals and objectives that will be in our newsletter were reflected out of the survey we did. We are starting a clinical supervision list program that Nadir's in charge of. And we're going to be training people, LCSWs, who want to be supervisors. We've done research on all the such programs of other chapters around the country, and we have developed a program. Our board has approved 8 topics will be in the training. We've sent out an RFP. We hope to approve the providers early part of 2025. This will be a list of NASW Wisconsin chapter approved supervisors for those people who don't have supervisors at their work setting and they want to go for the 3,000 hours. And we got a lot of people contacting us, which is why we started the program and the board approved it. We're also upgrading our mentorship program, which people have requested. So we are doing people who want to be mentors, contact our office, contact Nadir. You'll send a photograph and your expertise. It'll be uploaded either by you or us onto our website. And members who are in our members only section who are interested, I could see students, our entry-level professionals, and people maybe moving into a new area of social work can get support from people who have an expertise. We continue, as Nadir mentioned, we continue to do our BIPOC student leadership program that Dawn and Pat started, and we're one of only 3 or 4 programs in the country, and we have 4 or 5, maybe can I ask them to stand, our BIPOC leaders here? We're so happy to have us. We see you as future leaders of our profession and happy to have you here. We also have, pictures. All right, I think Nadir got the pictures. We also have a number of new networks. We at NASW want to encourage any kind of affinity networks that you would like. And right now we have new groups that have formed, and some of you have attended these at lunchtime, and disability, retired social workers, brand new, children group, in addition to our ongoing groups of rural mental health, healthcare, the Pride Caucus, and clinical. And then a few final notes. Nadir started our weekly newsletter. I hope you're looking at it. It's an opportunity to keep you really up to date on what we're working on and give you information you need to be helpful to you in your practice. And we have a lot of election information there. We continue to do a quarterly forum for members where I'm there. I give people an update, and then we go around the Zoom circle, have people talk about what's happening with them. And then the other thing that maybe a lot of people don't know is in addition to the lobbying work and political work and the committee work, I do a lot of direct service every single day with members. And this is a real service for NASW. I get some real doozies of ethical and practice issues that social workers encounter. And I'm happy to help people because this is why we are here, is to support you and to help our members. So this is something that we are doing every day. So thank you all for your wonderful work. It's great to see you. And now I'm going to turn it back over to Kim for our award ceremony.
That's not working. And I'm going to call up Wendy Bolts-Daniels to present the Public Service Award to Shannon Ross and Adam Purcell.
Good afternoon. I get to meet so many wonderful people out in the community. And I'm going to introduce you two people who should, well, they're social workers at heart, even though they may not be social workers there. And that is Shannon Ross and Adam Purcell. They're two of the hardest working people that I know, providing a plethora of reentry services in Wisconsin. They are the founding partners of the Paradigm Shift, a strategic reentry consulting firm. However, they're both involved in a plethora of reentry services. According to the Wisconsin Department of Corrections data, within 3 years of release from a state prison, 1 in 2 people are rearrested, 1 in 3 are reconvicted of a crime, and 1 in 3 are reincarcerated. In Milwaukee County, more than 2,000 people reenter the community from state prisons every year. Shannon and Adam are working to reduce this. Adam is the interim director of Partners in Hope, and Shannon is the executive director of the community. He's been writing a newsletter with his mom for the last 10 years. It's distributed inside Wisconsin state prisons, and more than 8,400 people read this newsletter, and it's chock full of important information about reentry. On the screen, you see a photo. Both of them are there, but the person next to Tony Evers is actually Adam Purcell. He had an idea about reducing reentry. He talked to a bipartisan group of legislators. He got Representative Schra from Oshkosh, a Republican, to introduce it, and he said, wait, we're not doing this yet? Why not? They took Adam's words, put it into a bill. I call it Adam's bill, but there's, a Senate number or something on it. And earlier this spring, Governor Evers signed it into law, and it will be a pilot program that will called an open door concept, where people who are coming out of prison can go to one place and get all of their needs met, so that they don't have all of these, right? So they don't miss an appointment and get sent back to jail, right? So they are investing in people, investing in community, and without further ado, I'm going to let them talk with you. So I yield my time to the two of you.
Okay. Hello, good afternoon. Thank you, NASW. Thank you, Wendy, for nominating us. I really still don't understand how we're here with folks who have been doing this for so long. You made a comment that ties into something I've said a lot in my life. Let me not exaggerate. I've said it probably a couple times the past 5 years. Keep it honest. It's that everyone's a social worker. It's just whether you want to lean into that or do it effectively. People that are engaging with one human being throughout their life, you're a social worker. So that is a role that we all play. And so very much kudos, thank you to this work you do, which is, I know, many times thankless. From having had social workers during my 17 years in prison, I know that it's a very thankless job. So thank you to all of you that are in this profession. So Wendy wants us to talk a little bit about what we do. I never really know how to do that because we don't really have like a specific thing. We just find ourselves in a variety of different areas. But before I do that, I want to just comment one thing. Like I said, I spent a lot of time in prison, right, for a violent crime. And during that time, I got arrested in my childhood bedroom growing up, right? And I think it was nothing but apropos to have my mother here today, who's a big part of the work that I do and where I've been able to get to, because I got arrested in her house. And so to be here, it's always really meaningful, Mom. So hopefully some of these memories will change how that started. The work that we do, it's just trying to use our lived experience to have a better path for people that are inside, coming home, not go inside, right? We found ourselves in the youth space recently. So higher education, Adam will talk about his work at Marquette. I have some work that we do at Marquette for higher education in prison, post-prison. And it's really just as simple as that. I mean, I could give you a list of things we've been working on and trying to do or in our mind we're doing, but we question if it's effective or not. But it's just really ultimately coming down to community work, giving back from what we've experienced, what we know works, what we know doesn't work, and just trying to be a representation in communities that oftentimes don't listen to us or see us because the idea of someone with a criminal record is just not worth listening to, or there's a sense of danger and fear. So we try to correct that narrative. And I mean, I guess, sorry, Wendy, that's like the most simple explanation I think I can give of everything, because it's just kind of a lot to list and it gets boring. So yeah. But if you want to see anything about the actual organization that I started inside with, again, the help of my mother and several other people, thecommunity.org is where you will find that. It's a lot of information and stories about successful examples of people who've made it post-release, things that are happening inside, and we're sharing resources that are happening across the country and the state that people can tap into if they want to connect with this issue. So thank you again, and thank you, Wendy and NASW.
Well, I think it's very unfair that he tried to make me cry before I had to come up and speak by talking about his mom, so let's go into the memory bank. First of all, thank you to Wendy and everybody here. And I think Shannon talked about being apropos, and I looked up the definition of social work today, because I thought I knew what the definition meant. And this will be the dumbest thing I say, hopefully. Helping people is hard, right? And Shannon said it's thankless. And I know I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Wendy, a social worker. And actually, today's a pretty bad day because I don't get to in person embarrass a social worker here. I don't know if anybody knows Cheryl Epplett. She's a warden. She presented here last year. Does anybody raise your hand if you know Cheryl Epplett? A couple of people? Okay. She presented here last year. And Shannon talked about a thankless profession. And sometimes when you help people, you don't get to see that you've helped people. And sometimes you may wonder, like, why am I doing this work? I don't get to see the fruits of my labor. So just a couple quick things to show you what's possible because of a social worker. At the end of my 725 million second prison sentence, who's counting? That's 23 years for those who don't do math. It was Cheryl Epplett, who was the warden at Oak Hill Correctional Institution, decided to give me a job interview in her visiting room and sat in on my first job interview ever because I went to prison at 15. So you thought your first job interview was nerve-wracking? Had the warden sit in on your first job interview. That's nerve-wracking. And it was for a faith-based prisoner reintegration organization called Partners in Hope. And as the CEO of that organization walked into the prison, the sergeant at the front desk said, "What do you mean you're coming to give a job interview? Like, we've never seen that before." It's because a social worker took it upon herself to open up her visiting room to allow a job interview. Which, please, yes. Why it took a social worker as a warden to let that happen, I don't know. And Wendy showed you some pictures, which she did not tell us she was going to show us these pictures. If it were not for a social worker, I couldn't have written a law. If it were not for a social worker, I wouldn't be the director of a prisoner reintegration organization. If it were not for a social worker like Wendy, so many of us wouldn't have a voice. And so on the days that are tough, when you think you're not doing what you were born to do, just because you don't see it, just think about what a social worker gave me the opportunity to do. Social work is hard. And I'll close with one more thing that I wouldn't be able to do if it were not for a social worker. I'm leaving this stage and I'm going to jail, believe it or not. And I get to speak to and train the next group of correctional officers in our jail. So because a social worker took it upon herself to give me a job interview in her prison, full circle, I get to now show my humanity to correctional officers that invite people into their system. And if they can humanize us, I can humanize them. We can all live in a safer community, all because of people like you. So thank you.
All right. Yeah, I know, right? There you be, my honor, with fingerprints all over it, and Shannon. Another round of applause for these two marvelous men. Oh, look at they're getting a standing ovation. And do you have my flashcard? It's in the back yet.
And next, I'm going to call up Lexi Langer to present the second Public Service Award to Leah S. Denny.
Good afternoon. So my name is Lexi Lunger, pronouns are she, her, and I'm a BSW senior at UW-Milwaukee. I'm the intern and sexual assault advocate at Her Wellness Institute, and today I really want to talk to you about someone I admire deeply. Leah S. Denny is the CEO and founder of Her Wellness Institute, which stands for Healing Intergenerational Roots, where she provides free and accessible mental health care, engages in the education and training of the next generation of advocates, counselors, and providers, including future social workers like me. She is an invaluable community asset in providing social justice-based mental health care, decolonizing of mental health, and innovating the delivery of wellness, clinical, and advocacy services to community members of the global majority, victims of crime, and survivors of violence. Leah S. Denny has dedicated her career to advancing the welfare and well-being of individuals and communities, particularly in her work centering the healing of historical trauma, demonstrating an unwavering commitment to social justice and human dignity. Her work, which spans decades, not only addresses the immediate needs, but also fosters systemic change. She is of Hawaiian and Pacific Islander descent, Hungarian Jewish and English ancestry, and her husband and children are Oneida and Ojibwe. In a society that often overlooks and undercuts Indigenous women for their brilliance, for me, it's a joy to spotlight her as the luminary, thought leader, and profoundly compassionate human that she is. She embodies the best of our ideals. Her lifetime achievements reflect the highest standards of excellence, integrity, and innovation. Her contributions have not only advanced the field of social work and the wider fields of mental health, but have profoundly impacted the lives of countless individuals and communities, both locally and globally. And with all of her gifts, her abundant, remarkable gifts, she walks with deep humility and the biggest of hearts. I am profoundly grateful for her wisdom and mentorship. It has changed my life. It has informed the kind of social worker, healer, and human I want to be. Mahalo nui loa, Leah. And so it is with greatest joy that I present the 2024 NASW Wisconsin Public Service Award to Leah S. Denny, CEO and founder of Her Wellness Institute.
Aloha, everyone. Hello, esteemed relatives, distinguished guests, and fellow honorees. It is both an honor and a privilege to stand here today amongst such remarkable social workers and leaders in our Wisconsin community. I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Lexi, our dedicated social work student, for her inspiring nomination. Lexi embodies the spirit of our work, bringing her light and passion to everything that we do. I also want to take a moment to thank Jamie, our Chief Community Engagement Officer, standing right there in the purple, a social worker, Indigenous sister, and an amazing friend, for her unwavering commitment and shared leadership, and she joins us all today, as well as Mark and everyone with the National Association of Social Workers of Wisconsin. Your efforts to serve our communities and with compassion does not go unnoticed. I'd like to take a moment, just briefly, to share about our matriarchal and shared decolonial work that we do at the Her Wellness Institute, which is a survivor-led, women-led nonprofit organization. Today, my team is actively engaged in the field, as we would say, at a community event called Data Day, where we are offering one of our mental health without borders programs, a community activated medicine provider campsite. This is a mental health hub that is dedicated to providing free and accessible mental health support through healing-based activities, coping strategies, and educational resources for healing-informed care. In the past week alone, we have directly supported over 1,500 Milwaukee residents with this type of care. We have spent time with the city of Milwaukee at the Love Without Violence conference. We next went to the New Life Youth Summit on mental health, and then Hunting Moon Powwow over the past weekend, honoring our Indigenous relatives. Each of these events reinforces the importance of community-led healing and highlights how our communities of the global majority can share their stories for collective care. As a survivor myself of childhood sexual abuse, witnessed domestic violence, and historical and intergenerational traumas, I knew in my heart that we needed another way to heal, and what many of my elders will refer to as the chain of pain and the spirit of sadness. For over 20 years, I have dedicated my career to mental health, focused on healing our families and communities from the burdens of historical and intergenerational trauma. I firmly believe that healing should be accessible to all, free from the financial barriers, especially for those in communities who have been historically and systemically underinvested and underserved. This conviction inspired me to establish Healing Intergenerational Roots, Wellness Institute, and develop my model, Community Activated Medicine Framework, a mental health without borders approach, and the intergenerational healing approach for decolonial clinical mental health work, which empowers providers and students to serve survivors of violence, whether from domestic violence, sexual assault, intimate partner violence, sex trafficking, and missing and murdered Indigenous women and relatives. I have developed over 20 intergenerational mental health programs that are healing informed for our children, our youth, our adults, and our elders in order to center community well-being. We offer free services to Indigenous and historically underserved victims of violence through counseling, group therapy, and victim advocacy services, including virtual telehealth, virtual advocacy services, and to support a true circle of care while survivors navigate the cycles of healing forward with their families, their loved ones, and their community members. The impact of community violence is profound, resulting in thousands of lives lost each year and countless of others affected by the trauma of witnessing violence. Despite increasing awareness of mental health's critical role, access to services remain a significant challenge for so many reasons, and we all know this. In fact, in 2018, America's Mental Health Report by the Cohen's Veteran Network and the National Council for Mental Health Wellbeing highlighted this issue. While 56% of Americans who seek mental health support, they often face long wait times and limited options. Mental health without My Mental Health Without Borders approach and campsite model has successfully provided free, accessible, and culturally safe care for over the past 7 years. From Milwaukee to across our state, nationwide, and internationally, including Australia with our Aboriginal relatives last year. Our very small but mighty team has served over hundreds of thousands of people in just the last 7 years. My model is exponentially growing in demand, and it trains the next generation of providers through an integrated, intergenerational, and interdisciplinary practice. Providers learn how to navigate and align with fostering community-based approaches and to inspire a change in the way we do mental health care. The CAM framework recognizes that you are the medicine, that the people are the medicine, and that it's always within you. It emphasizes the importance of our relationships and the felt sense of community that we need to heal. I am deeply honored to share just a piece of our story with you and the work that we do in serving survivors of violence. Thank you for your dedication, your steadfast commitment as social workers to care for our communities and be the beacon of light that is needed to see us through our heaviest times. It is with a heartfelt enthusiasm that I accept this public service award. And I would like to leave you with one of my favorite quotes from the great ancestor of ours, Audre Lorde. She says, "When I dare to be powerful, use my strength in the service of my vision, it then becomes less and less important whether I am afraid. May each of you lead in your own way, without fear, but rather with the hope for the possibilities of systemic change." Mahalo nui loa for this time, for this moment, and to be in community with you all. Please come visit us. We are located in Milwaukee. We have a large space to be able to bring you in and just see what it looks like to shift from a medical model to one that is healing informed, social justice and health justice informed, and one that centers a legacy of intergenerational wealth and healing.
And next, I'm going to call up Erica Olson to present the Distinguished Social Worker Award to Emily Kinney.
Good afternoon. My name is Erica, and I am a former social work intern who stayed on after placement for a long period of time. One of the biggest reasons I stayed in the field and the specialty I'm currently in is this year's distinguished social worker, Emily Kenny. I remember when I first started in my field placement, thinking that the field of housing and homelessness services was too narrow of a specialization, that it wasn't big picture enough, and maybe a good temporary place for me to learn, but that was it. I am happy to say that I was wrong, proven by the case management, mentorship, the interagency collaboration on policies and implementation, and the broad macro work I was exposed to under Emily's supervision. Emily's work has affected not only individuals entering the field, but behavioral health and supportive housing at all levels. She is the chair of the Wisconsin Housing First Coalition, which leads in the state advocating for this best practice. The ideal this coalition operates under is that housing is a human right and that people can and do pursue their chosen goals when provided housing without preconditions. The magnitude of her work is felt through the increase of professionals trained in Housing First, as well as the increase in communities declaring themselves Housing First. Emily directed the coordinated entry system in Milwaukee for 8 years, which is the system for prioritization and referrals in homelessness services. At the local level, she was instrumental in influencing placement, case management, and supportive services in housing. She led with equity at the forefront, consistently listening to community consensus and people with lived expertise. The Milwaukee Coordinated Entry System has been highlighted by the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development as a best practice community. Emily also began the facilitation of the start of Impact Connect, a community information exchange started in southeastern Wisconsin. This exchange is a hub for social services referrals, a one-stop shop for a web of resources. This exchange collects trends for data analytics for our community's greater understanding of needs in the geographic region. The impact of this work in connecting referral partners and understanding resources needed for our community will be felt for years to come as the exchange grows and develops. Currently, Emily works for Milwaukee County Department of Health and Human Services as the Director of Strategic Initiatives. This position has a broad reach throughout county DHHS, including behavioral health services, aging, and supportive housing. Emily continues to hold equity as a beacon, knowing that all initiatives should be working towards justice, even if that means working herself out of a job. Emily is an advocate for the field and position for social work as a whole, dedicating herself to the education and training of future social workers. She has hosted tens of interns demonstrating specialties in the social work field, like homelessness services that are less popular, but still spaces where the profession should shine. Her respect for the profession has inspired many students like myself to remain in their fields post-field placement. Please join me in congratulating the 2024 Distinguished Social Worker Award recipient, Emily Kenny.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, NASW. For those of you that know me, know that I care about this profession so deeply. I am a social worker through and through, and I believe that social work is what this world needs. It's what's going to bring us what we need as a community. And so to be nominated and awarded this by my peers is just such an honor. So thank you. I'm a macro social worker, and I love doing the macro work because I believe that you can and we must figure out why these systemic injustices persist and how we knock down the barriers that are in our way to making sure that we can do our work and that everybody has a community where they're able to thrive. I started in housing, which I think it's incredible to me that it's not such a seen as a human right by everybody as it should be. So I think that is where we really have to continue to work. That's where I started my work. But in the past few years, I've come to realize and appreciate the true interrelatedness among all of our systems. And I think being able to make sure that we are working together across systems toward that equity and justice is what our next step has to be as social workers, so that we're working together. All of our work is important, and all of it must be social justice based. I want to make sure that as I was reflecting before coming up here today, I thought, you know, as energized as I can be, I've also felt a weariness. I've felt a weariness in myself. I've felt a weariness in these conferences, at these gatherings, and the work seems to be getting harder. And every time I feel like I'm not sure if I can still do this. I'm not sure if I can keep going. I have a deep connection. I form a deep connection with someone new who reminds me of all of our humanity and why we're in this work. So I have to make sure that one of my main cup filler uppers is here, my husband, and I have to give him thanks for continuing to. He grounds me and he fills up my cup so that I can pour into others. I think as a profession, we cannot grow weary. I am reminded when I connect with humans that it's not only that we have to keep going, it is imperative. The world needs us to keep going. So I hope that if you are feeling weary, or even if you're not, make sure you connect with another human, find your why, and connect social work so that we can keep working towards social justice. Thank you so much for this award.
Oh. So before we move on, we want to thank Shakita LeGrant, who is present with us from the Executive Director of Milwaukee County Human Service, who was a nominee for the Public Service Award. We thank you. We are asking that all award recipients, please go to the membership table to take photos after this ceremony. And I am going to call up Antoinette Davis to present the Lifetime Achievement Award to Patricia Parker.
Hello, everyone. As she said, I'm Antoinette Davis. I'm the owner and operation of Generational Cycles, where I provide therapy services to children and families to break generational cycles. But today I'm not up here for me. I'm up here to present a beautiful soul, the Lifetime Achievement Award. She didn't know this was coming. Let me just say a little bit about Miss Parker. Since I've met her, she's poured everything into me. And I know if you know her, she's poured everything into you. She's a hard-working social worker. She's into ministry, and with ministry, that's her foundation to pour into people. That's where it all started. I can't say this enough, but she is just a beautiful person. She seen me one day, and she started talking to me. I'm like, oh, man, I can't say no to her. I can't. She was like, you need to do this, and you need to go speak. And and they got a conference over here, and I'm like, what? Because I can't say no to her. I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. And she said, send me the PowerPoint. And from there, I've been doing conferences because of Miss Pat Parker. Seriously, because I would never do it. I don't want to keep making her cry, but she is the mentor of all mentors. And whether she know that or not, she's going to remain a mentor because of her, I'm co-chairing the DEI program. So without further ado, I'm not going to keep making her cry because I have some stuff on this phone to make her cry, but I'm not going to do that. So without further ado,
Okay, those of us who know me know I am in a very odd situation here. This is not something that I have ever aspired to do. Years ago, I met a gentleman from South Africa who was Swahili, and he helped me understand what the word Ubuntu means. How many of you know what that word means, Ubuntu? I am because we are. And once I understood the meaning of that, I said, that's the word that defines purpose for me. And so what I have diligently tried to do was make my time here on this earth have meaning, have purpose. Anybody can identify with that? Wave at me if you, there you go. You all understand what I'm saying. So I'm gonna make this real brief. I promised someone here that I would be very gracious in accepting this award. But I must say this to all of you wonderful social workers here. When Shannon and the other gentleman talked about, this is being hard and sometimes thankless, sometimes the warmth that you get in your heart for doing what it is that you do, it will carry you. It will carry you. And it certainly has carried me. Many years ago, the Creator sent someone in my life when I just graduated from college and was trying to figure out, now I have all this debt, who am I going to be? Does anybody remember State Representative Annette Polly Williams? She invited me to a meeting of professional Black women. And I went there and saw all of these wonderful role models. And I met someone who poured into my life and is still pouring into my life. And she's here with me today. Could you please stand? Linda Jackson Cocroft, my mentor. And we're some seasoned women, and we still see the need to pour into people. We still keep finding people that we want to invest in. Because how many of you know if you don't pour in to someone else, then it stops with you? And then she brought her husband along, who became my friend. And the two of them demonstrated to me what couples can do for a community when you feel you have purpose. Am I making sense to anybody in here? So this whole distinguished thing, I was like, do they know I'm not done? What they trying to say? What are they trying to tell us? I'm not going to cover my gray. It's going to stay here because I earned every strand. However, I do want to say this. One of the things that Mark oopsed up on and did years ago, he invited myself and a colleague to present to the board. And at that time, and I've been saying this ever since I saw that, I said at the time they invited us to present to the board, I talked about succession planning. I said, if you're not planning to bring someone behind you, then your future is extremely limited. And I said, you got to have some young folks here. And so I'm always looking for young faces, not just to teach them something, but to learn from them. Right, Mark? But to learn from them. I said, and then begin, and then stick around so that as they start to move up, you're there to help them up. So I'm going to end with saying this. Linda pushed me up and continued to hold me up through my career. I owe. I owe big time. And for everybody in here who's ever received anything from me, and you did something with it, thank you. Thank you. If there's anybody here who's looking to pour into someone else, thank you. Thank you, because I am going to sit down one day, and I want to make sure there's some social workers that's helping to help this old lady up. Thank you guys so much.
Wonderful awardees. And thank you, everybody, and enjoy the rest of the conference. Great to see you.